Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. What grade are you in? Ninth grade. You want to be a filmmaker?
He does.
He does? Yeah. Are you all here to be filmmakers or interested in film, theater, actor? At what capacity? What capacity? Acting, directing, producing? Acting. All you actors?
Yeah.
Any directors here? Oh, good. And who's the actors? Who are the actors? Who are the behind the scenes? Production designers, sound designers, everybody. Anybody behind the scene? Acting? Behind the scene, good. Well, we have a good group here then. My name's Calo, and I do major motion picture films. I work with Spike Lee, and you guys might know I'm the one who started Ryan Gosling. You guys may know him because you're a younger crowd. That he ended up in, he played Ken in Barbie. But we did his first film a long, long time ago. And I grew up in the business. And I want to just tell you, I remember the day when I was sitting there like you, hungry, wanting to learn, wanted to do whatever I had to do. And I'll tell you, the trick to it is to jump in and do it. You have to love this business, or otherwise you're going to learn it's going to eat you up alive. But you really have to love this business. I work with major actors. I work with Spike Lee. I work with a lot of people. But that's what I do now. And every time I do a new movie now, which I'm doing, I just came back from Iceland shooting a big film. The first day on the set as the director, I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous of how it goes. Because you just, even all my training, all my years in this business, you never want to lose that. You always want to stay hungry, always be humble. Don't think you know everything. You don't. I don't. And you have to learn and get out there and learn. I was like you, I was just like everybody else here. I started off when I was 5 years old. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a producer and a director. And I had 5 sisters, so I used to go to the library and get plays and have them read it, and they're like, what are we doing here? They would throw it down. I said, you can't walk out, I'm directing. But they would walk out. That's my first learning lesson of how to deal with actors. And you have to learn how to deal with everyone. You don't know everything. Be humble. Ask questions. I started off like you did. PAs. As a PA and production assistant, not knowing anything, but I learned to shut up. I learned to learn. You never go on set and say, here, I would do it this way. In old school days, you would have been kicked off the set. And I've seen it happen. Trust me. So one time we was on a set for somebody, I forgot what it was, and some PA says, well, if I was shooting it, I would shoot this. And the director said, yeah, well, you're not, so get the fuck out of here. So didn't mean about the language, sorry about the language. I've been told before I come in here, I've been here for 9 years speaking, but I was told before I got here, Frank, please, one thing, watch your language. And I don't think I listened, but anyway, that's not what that's about. But always stay hungry, always last, jump in the waters. You may think you want to be a director. You may end up being a producer. You may end up being a writer. You may end up being an assistant director. You may end up being a production designer. Then that's where you belong. If that's where you end up going. It's a long journey, it's a lifetime journey. It's a process. When you write a script, when people say, oh, I'm gonna go shoot my movie, you don't just show up and everything's there for you. It takes a lot of months to prep it. The hard work in making a film is the pre-production, the prepping of everything. Because that's what you build your foundation on. That's your foundation. The shooting part is easy. I've learned to love, not that, I grew to love the editing section, the post-production. Because that's where you're alone in the editing room with your editor and a couple other people, and you're watching it. And trust me, I've shot films, and I looked at the first day in the editing room, I want to throw up. I go, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this mess? Because it's not cut for you. Everything you shoot is there. You have the slate, you have the grip in the background picking his nose, you have the actor saying, I don't want to talk about that line, can I change this line? And you're going, oh, how am I going to get out of this mess? But you start from the beginning. You take your time for your training, and you start with scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and you work your story. The main goal here for all of you, your job, no matter as an actor, writer, director, is to tell the story. That's your job. Don't think directing is, oh, I'm going to tell the actor how to move here, I'm going to put the camera here, I'm going to do this. No, just concentrate in the beginning to tell your story, your voice. Your voice is what's interesting. Your voice is what's new. You guys are the next generation. One day you're going to be up here talking, hopefully, you know. And if not, you'll be talking about something else in some other field. But you guys are the next generation. We now depend on your voices. We now depend on your journeys. We depend on your stories that you're going to be telling us. So it's a hard business. Like I said, you have to love it. If you don't, get out of it. If you learn, you don't, because it's going to eat you alive. Like anything else. If you know you're going to be a doctor and you get there and you surgery, you go, I can't stand this blood. Get out of it. My life is depending on it. You know? So the thing is, always know that ask questions. If you don't know, shut up, learn, and be humble on set. I still do that today. If I don't know something, I'll ask my colleagues. But I learn to surround myself with people who are going to help me get out of the trenches. When I fall in the trenches on a movie set, I want my staff to come and say, here, Frank, here's my hand. Grab it and I'll get you out of this mess. That's the staff I hire. Of course, coming up in your age, you're going to learn that as you're coming up, and there's going to be people who are going to want your job. Don't ever think you're indisposable in life and anything. Because if you don't want to do the job, I'll find 1,000 other people to do it just as good or better or worse. But who cares? You're not doing it. So you have no judgment. So the thing is, never think yourself indisposable. This is a learning process. When you write a script, first time I write a script, I don't send it out professionally. I send it out to people I trust to read it and get constructive criticism. And then I listen to criticism. I learn to listen to criticism. And then I go back to it and I say, oh man, this is a mess. And then you rewrite it. And then you rewrite it. And then you rewrite it again. And then you're on set 5 years later rewriting it because an actor says, I think I should do this. You know, so it's a process. And that you have to, it's like a chef. It's like working in a restaurant. It's a process that you learn to do. And you go by step, by step, by step. And eventually you'll get to the point where you have that training. And you just be able to jump in. Even though I'm nervous on a set, like I walk on a set sometimes, I just finished a big Viking movie in Iceland, and I had a foreign crew. And I walk up and I'm looking at this faces here, I'm going, oh God. All right, and they're all waiting for me, because I'm the director, producer. So I just jump in my craft, and once I get going, everything kicks in. And that's where you want to get the respect. You get the respect. Know your story better than anybody else on that set. If I come up and say, well, this is what you should do, and I have to answer it for you, then I know it better than you. Never rely on anybody. You learn how to do the production schedule, the shooting schedule, the breakdowns. Learn how to do it, because no one on that level should know your story better than you when you're shooting it or writing it, and that's where you make your money. Things are changing quick. Nowadays. When I came back, when I started out, there was no computer, so we had to do everything by hand and paperwork. But now you have AI, you have all this stuff that you guys are going to have to contend with eventually, more than me, because it's going to go on for years and we have to worry about all that. AI, to me, is good for medical field, good for science, good for answering some certain questions, but it's not a voice. It is not your voice, and that's what it takes away from the creative voice. You know, I would use it as a template. Like anything else. If I want to look at something, I'll look at a book and as a reference. But it's not my voice. Your voice is in here. Your voice is what you speak. And don't think about good or bad or right or wrong. In the arts, there is no good or bad or right or wrong. You don't have to worry about that. It's just your story. If something doesn't work, fix it. If you think that there's no story there, boom, let us go to rest. Go start a new story. If you get hired, get out there and start shooting your films. There's so many, like your iPhones, whatever. Just play around with it. Or if you're actors, I do a lot with actors as well. If you're actors, get out there and find your casting directors. Find out who's in there. Find out what you can do when you get out of schools. Or some of you are in college, or some of you are, nobody in here is retiring. You know what I'm saying? But now I want to throw it out to you guys. I want to hear your voices, the young voice here. You know, like I was talking to you a little bit. You want to be an actress or filmmaker, right? Right? Why? You want to act. What makes you want to act? Oh, there you go. I'll start there. I'll start there. What about you, sir? What's your interest here?
I like
Acting?
acting.
It's a good source. One thing I learned, and one thing I learned is here, and this is just one thing. I'll save that. You know, I better not talk about that. But what else? What? Anybody here have a question? And you young ladies over there, that little lady over there on the phones. Do you have a question? Put your phone down when I'm speaking. Yeah, when I'm speaking, you put your phone down. All right. So listen. Anybody have a question? Any question about production? Yes.
In your time in the industry, what are the major changes?
It's happening now. It's happening your generation. For me, it's happening now. The big thing when I was coming up in your business was the computers. Okay, but that was an assessment. That helped us. That was a template. That helped things move our work faster. Today, you're facing a lot of complications in regards to AI but what you have to understand, you got to protect your voice. It's your creative team. It's your voice that you don't want to be taken away. Yes, don't get me wrong. When I say that, and you have a script, I may make a suggestion and changes. Yes, that's not getting involved. I'm not going to take it away from you, and you have to be careful. There will be people who do that, But you guys are facing it now with AI and the new technology. The cameras. When I started out, man, they were big old cameras. Like you couldn't even carry them. The reason I don't know if you guys ever heard the expression grips. They're the guys or people who move the equipment around. The reason why they call them grips because they had big old cameras and they had to grip it to move it from one setup to the next, and that's where they got the name grip. Okay, so the cameras now are you put them in your pocket, but that doesn't mean that's going to make your movie. The camera does not make your movie. The lenses don't make your movie. It's what you do with it. You still have to worry about depth of field. You still have to light it as if it's a feature film, major feature film. You still have to put it out there. Don't rely on your that's just a tool for you to get your work out. Yes, ma'am, you had a question. What age do I accept? Depends on the script. There's a lot of young actors out there. Any age. Don't worry about that. If you're ready to go out there, go out there.
Also, what is your favorite movie or production?
That's hard. That's hard to say. There's so many. I'll name films you don't even know. So no. But let's get back to your first question. Is that your goal, actress?
I don't quite know.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. But how are you going to find out? By doing. By doing. Take an acting class. Take an acting class. Speak to an acting coach. Get out there. You acting? You're an acting. You're the coach. Well, there you go. You already started, so you do know. So and then get advice. Get advice from that. I have mentors all my life. They're the ones who got me up to the next level. Trust me on this when I say this. I was in your seat too one time, and I was there looking but I had to find my way. Some I had some tough times. Some I have some times like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I blow that? But you don't, the trick is this. You make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You learn that. But you learn from it. So the next time that same situation happens, I'll never make that mistake again. Whether it's a negotiation, whether it's a script, or whether it's a performance. Learn from it. That's how you grow. And then sometimes one day, when you make a mistake, everybody's going to look at you and say, oh, you just made a mistake. Oh, you're terrible. Oh, you feel like, don't want to say shit, but I did. But you feel like bad. But then the next time you're with this group and you learn from that, and then they're looking at you and go, oh man, that was a great decision. You really handled that well. Why? Because you learn from that mistake. Learn from it. It's a process, guys. It really is. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So whenever you're telling a story, do you like to try to tell the story through the cuts or through the performance?
No, you tell the story as the story itself. That's a very good question, and I'll say why, if I'm interpreting it right. The thing is, in film, like I work in theater too. I was on Broadway when I was 19 years old with a Broadway show called the original production of 9. And I was a young kid, and I was just happened to be taken with that, okay? And theater, you like in rehearsals, you start from the beginning to the end. Film, I have a script, a story. I may shoot that in the middle because of location schedules, actor schedules, whatever it may be. I may be shooting out of sequence. So it's the director's job, people, and the writers, to have that vision. See, that's why you can't go and comment on it in a film, because I have a vision from beginning, middle, and end, because I wrote it or part of it, or I got hired, but from the very beginning and end. When somebody, it looked like we don't know what we're talking about. But we're shooting this scene now because I know it from that's the vision you have. You must see that from the beginning, middle, and end, and then you shoot accordingly. The story. Now I'll end it with this, and I'll give you a little tip. What you direct is the subtext of the material. You don't direct the actor's lines. You don't direct the camera. And that's how you communicate with your actor. If I just scene, it's an emotional scene, I'm going to talk to that actor in subtext. I'm not going to talk to the actor and say it like this, say it like that. You'll get kicked off the set by the stars, you know. So, but trust me, I think my time is up. It went fast. I'm surprised. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm just wondering, like, you go in this world and it's really hard as an artist, and you try again, but how do you know it's just not?
You'll know. You'll know. Trust me. That's a good question. You know why? Because when you write a script or you're working on production, that script eventually, the more you push it, the more you rewrite it, the more you get the story you want to tell, that script's going to tell you when it's done. It's the same thing. You'll know, but you listen. You got to listen to it, but you learn how to listen to it. So don't worry about that yet. That's at the end of the line. Don't worry about that. Get out and do it. That's the only way you're going to find out. You may get there and you say, you know what, I don't like this. I want to do that. That's okay. So the thing is, you got to make a living as well. The reason why when I got out of school, just like you, I jumped into sets. I did horror films. I had a little monster that we had to move around. The director's going, more blood, more blood. And we're moving this stupid little rubber monster. But I'd rather do that and learn in my field than work in a restaurant or work in the thing. Not that the restaurant's bad. I'm just saying as my day job. I learn from being in the business. And you're always going to learn. But your answer will tell you if you listen to it. When you're ready. You're not ready for that. Just get out and do it. Yes, ma'am.
On a personal level, twofold question. What would you consider the best thing that has happened to you because of your career choice? And on the other side, what is the worst thing that has ever happened?
And that answer is a very, 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 it's kind of my theme of what I'm talking about now, and I'm glad you asked that. Thank you so much, Cookie. By the way, that's Cookie. She's the guest of honor for this whole festival, this whole weekend. So if you ever get a chance, if you're around, talk to her. She's a very interesting lady and knows a lot. But that's a very good question. The question is, what's the question? No, no, the question is, I learned from a very young age. I was a young director, and I was running about directing anything I can, get my hands wet, I jump in everything. And my mentor came up to me one time, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm directing my show." He goes, "No, you don't know anything about directing." And then he took my heart away. But he says, "Come to this theater group that I have, and you'll learn the craft of directing." And he said, "But don't think you're going to come here and direct. You're going to learn to come here and wash cups. You're going to get coffee. You're going to do the lights. You're going to set stage readings. You're going to work with these people." And I ended up working with a lot of great people at that time. And the best thing to answer your question is I was humble enough to do that. That was the best thing I did in my life. It was I took the shit. I took the shit and I ate it. I ate it. But I learned from it. I realized how it was. And then 2 years later, that same mentor said to me, "Would you like to direct one of the shows in our workshop?" And I said, yeah, I would. And I accepted the job without reading the script. So then I said, "Oh my God, what if the script's not good?" And he said, "Don't worry, we'll be here to support you." So I knew I had a home. And that answers both questions. Yeah. I think my time is up, Skylar. All right. So those of you who give a, what? All right.